We heard it directly from the president, but his tweets this morning suggest week's not going well. Can you give us some color around it?
Well, I think as you heard him say that China has reported its worst economic growth since 1982. And the reality is what we see is manufacturing jobs fleeing China. Some are returning back to the United States because of our regulatory agenda and our tax cut agenda, but some of it's going to other parts of Asia. And so the president feels that we have leverage at the moment in negotiations with China. I think for a long time there's been an assumption from previous administrations that if you actually have trade with China, it'll lead to other freedoms inside the nation. And that has not proven true to date. China has remained a communist nation that abuses human rights. And the reality is that there's a lot of concerns we have about China on the national security front, too. And this president is looking to try to reset those relationships. And we're hopeful that we can get a trade deal at the end of this. But he recognizes that right now they need it more so than we do, he believes.
Last couple days, the president's mentioned more and more this idea that the Chinese would wait out the election cycle here in the U.S. We often have to ask analysts if that's their base case, but is that your base case?
I don't know that it's our base case, Carl. I do think that there is frustration that, as you've heard the president say and Secretary Mnuchin say, that we felt we were about, we went into about the 10-yard line previously. And then we felt that there were several hardliners within China that pulled back because some of the enforcement mechanisms they were unwilling to live with. And I think that's been a challenge in our relationship with China for some time, is that when they strike deals, they've backtracked on a lot of areas where we've wanted to enforce the restrictions that we put in place that stop transfer of ownership, that stop the intellectual property theft, that would actually limit some of the subsidies that they provide in supporting it from essentially a communist economy. So we've been frustrated that they pulled back from some of those enforcement mechanisms, but we're very sincere about wanting to make sure that those things are protected in future trade negotiations. Previous administrations have been unsuccessful in ensuring that they no longer steal intellectual property and that there are limits in the amount of subsidies that they can provide for competition with the companies here in the United States.
So do you guys in the administration feel that this is a good campaign strategy not to make a deal with China? In other words, there's this new feeling on Wall Street that the administration doesn't have any interest in making a deal because the base likes the China bashing and the tough attitude and the tough stance that you're talking about and the president's taking with regard to China.
I don't think I view it that way. I think that in reality that a trade deal with China would probably boost markets significantly, would probably benefit the president politically. I don't think he's looking at this through a political lens. He's looking to try to reset the relationship as what's best for the United States, not just for today, but for future years as well. So I would probably have a different viewpoint in that, Sarah, that in fact a trade deal would actually boost the markets and probably give the president more of a lift heading into 2020.
Marc, you've long been the White House's eyes and ears on the Hill. Yesterday, Axios says that Mnuchin's privately been telling people that Pelosi's promised to vote on the USMCA by October. Her office says that's patently false. Is it going to happen?
We think it's going to happen this fall, Carl. We're disappointed it hasn't happened yet. The reality is that because of the budget cap deal, Congress is going to be in more this fall than they would have previously been. So it gives us more of an opportunity to complete it. The reality is that Speaker Pelosi will only bring it up for vote if she thinks it's in the best interest of her own members. And so if you look at where the vice president's been traveling the country, he's been traveling to states like Wisconsin and Democrat districts where the dairy product is greatly enhanced by this new deal. He's been traveling to Michigan to talk about the benefits to auto manufacturers workers. In fact, today he's in Ohio visiting a company that's doing a new groundbreaking. It's a Canadian company looking to build a plant in the United States for auto parts because of the auto part protections provided in USMCA. He'll also be traveling to districts like in southern New Mexico, represented by a Democrat who needs to get this because of all the new gas and oil exploration there. So if you look at what our strategy is actually to go into districts occupied by Democrats to convey this is needed for your own constituents. That's going to be the key to getting Nancy Pelosi to bring this up for a vote. We again think if it's brought up for a vote, we have the votes to pass it. The question is, will there be enough Democrats who ask Speaker Pelosi to say, I need this for my own district and my own constituents, and it's better than what the existing law with NAFTA is?